Hey, Santosh.
Good morning, Gopal. Hi.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Oh, sorry. Good afternoon. Yeah. What
uh,
is 2 minutes?
sure.
Get started. Gopal, since we've got close to 50, can we get it started?
Sure. Happy to. I think,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Let me just formally introduce you with our participants. Good. So, hey all, can you hear me? This is Santosh Rajan. You can just type in on the comments column, whereas I can just see it. Great. Yeah. Um, so a very good afternoon to everyone. Hope everyone are healthy and staying indoors. I would like to thank Mr. Gopal Iyer for agreeing to host this virtual town hall. And it's a pleasure to connect with you, Gopal, with our fellow students and staff here. So, to give a brief about Gopal Iyer, he carries close to 2 decades of experience in people and program management for some of the biggest names from retail to multidisciplinary finance verticals. Currently, he's the associate director and a pro leader for some of EY's flagship talent succession programs in what's called the gig economy. We could never think of any better other than Mr. Gopal Iyer at times like this to share his perspective and how the gig economy is handling or will handle post the COVID world and how you can all be prepared for that in the best possible ways. And without any further delay, I would over it to you, Mr. Gopal. You can just take it forward with your presentation.
Sure. Thank you so much, Santosh. Uh, as Santosh mentioned, I hope you're all doing well, safe at homes, and not venturing out, and taking good care of yourselves, and taking some time to reflect upon what's happening around us, as well as focusing on what more you can do. And I would be sharing some of the thoughts around that, uh, based on what we've observed, basically. But uh, that's the whole idea of this conversation. I thought it would be a good one to do it in person. I wanted to do that in person a month ago, but I think this is no less, I would say. I mean, this is even better because it gives you access to connect from wherever you are, and hear me. So, thank you so much for this opportunity, Santosh and INSOFE Education. Really appreciate this. Will certainly try and do my bit to walk you all through what I have to share. At the same time, if there are questions, I'll be happy to take them at the end of this conversation, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, cool. So the topic that we have today is about reimagining careers, and we've all worked, and I'm sure each one of you on the group today have wealth of experience in terms of already either being in job or entrepreneur or trying to find a right role, um, and you might be trying level best in terms of getting you the right opportunity in times like these where things are extremely uncertain, unpredictable. What are some of the things that we can do to ensure that we are doing the right things? So that's the whole theme of this conversation. We'll be happy to hear your views at the end of this, as well as answer some questions. So what are we currently going through? Some stats. You're all data students. different I would say streams, but some stats that we all have been seeing: 25 lakh people currently under the current crisis of COVID. Great, that's almost about 7 lakh people have recovered, but we've also kind of lost 1,77,000 people and their lives, right? So not easy times. It's an extremely tough time. Not something that we would have seen of this scale in the recent history. Talk about 1918, the Great Depression, and also the plague and the other health epidemic or pandemic that was there. I don't think anyone in our families today can probably be able to relate to. And even if you were to ask your parents about something of this magnitude, they can only probably reference it to say, yeah, this, they would have heard something like this, but no one actually ever saw this coming, or anyone who claims to be saying that I know how this feels probably is being too humble. So so that's what we are seeing, and it's not an easy times for any one of us, which resulted into um, everything around us coming to a grinding halt, if not um, I mean, slow down for sure in terms of the way we are doing stuff. Great, I think, with ITES sector at least being able to connect and work from home. But there are several others in this country and even across the world who are not able to find um, a, a, a daily meal for themselves, because I think everything around the work that they were doing is come to a grinding halt. Also, the health situation is completely unpredictable. You wouldn't even know if you are one of those who got affected until you start developing symptoms. So not an easy time for sure. What this is leading is into a lot of uncertainty, where one is 52% of the global companies are taking steps to reconfigure supply chains in response to COVID 19. Talk of aviation, talk of hospitality, talk of manufacturing, or any industry for that matter. There is always going to be a time where they will say, pre-COVID, we did it this way, post-COVID, we are doing this way. And the simple reason for that is um, the lockdown being one part of it, which completely isolates everything around us in terms of how we would want to do our business. Uh, you can't do anything at this point of time. Even some of the relaxations that were given as late as yesterday are now revoked today, given the nature of the challenge that we have on our hands. The post-COVID world will continue to evolve, and this number of 52% will keep growing, because a lot of these industries that will get impacted eventually will probably have to reconfigure the entire supply chain for the new customers or the customers that they were earlier serving. 41% of global executives are investing in accelerating automation to manage impact of COVID-19. Talk of any industry, again, as I said, be it manufacturing, be it food deliveries, be it your essential deliveries. I'm sure in the next few quarters to at least the next couple of years, everybody would be looking to find a solution which makes the entire experience, the user experience, as much as possible touch free. Would it be possible for me to deliver the goods without probably delivering it in the hand of the consumer, or can I leave it elsewhere, or can I create complete systems and technologies which allows me to go completely digital and not even touch cash or not even touch the product unless it's cleansed, so that it makes it easy for me. So all of that will create a lot of opportunities in terms of innovation for people to think and reimagine the way they want to live in post-COVID world, and automation will be at the center of it. Uh, all of this is going to have definitely an impact. You might have seen this number in some of the media reports. This number is just going to continue growing. The unemployment as a result of COVID will continue to impact us big time. Now there is in India has a very unique problem of organized sector employment and unorganized sector unemployment. Unorganized sector unemployment numbers could grow substantially, which probably you and I can't even sit and imagine. But the good news on that is that they can still continue to come back and do several stuff and come back to business much quicker than some of the organized sector people could, because of the nature of the job that they are into. So talk about plumbers, carpenters, or your salesperson, or even the gig workers. They all can bounce back pretty much quickly once the situation eases. And when that's going to happen is something that the world can keep guessing, but I think it's going to be very different for each country, each geography, each district, each locality. So I think that's something that we need to keep in mind as we think through. Um, this is a report through International Labour Organization, which says 25 million plus jobs could be lost as a result of COVID-19. And it's a number, in my view, still a very low number. It may be much higher if you were to really put together the global numbers and include unorganized sector as well. So this is not an economic crisis alone. It's an economic crisis and a health crisis all at once, right? It's a tough time. Um, as much as we try to save the economy from crumbling down, which it is right now, given where our markets were pre-COVID, probably in February, and versus where it is today. I'm sure each one of us who have some form of the investment has lost quite a bit of money in that. But can governments today sit and do something different than what they have done? Probably no. I think there is a lot more that they could do in both in both areas of saving people's lives, which is the number one priority for them right now, and of course, and after effect of getting the economy back in some form once this settles. Is and that's where we are. I mean, this is exactly um, something that we are all going through. It's not just a health, but also an economic crisis all at once. How it's going to impact us? You'll see a lot of temporary business closures. Customers will leave you. You might be thinking that, okay, I had a commitment from this person. I wouldn't probably want to engage with him or her. The demand and supply will be very, um, I would say, it's going to be challenging to predict how the demand could grow. Supply chain issues continue to persist, given the fact that you don't know how long the lockdown is going to continue, which will have an impact on manufacturing and production as well. So supply will become a challenge in the near term, but in the longer term, at least 3 to 6 months from now, the demand will continue to be a huge challenge. So think about you wanting to go and see a movie. I don't think you would probably want to do that for the next year, at least till you feel comfortable in doing that. So demand's going to be extremely unpredictable, because each one of us today will be thinking about, oh, is the person sitting next to me, or is the food that I'm eating, or is the flight that I'm taking safe enough? So that's going to drive a lot of the challenges. In terms of not I mean, not all companies are going to be about remote management of operations. You will have challenges where people are currently, like I know for a fact that a lot of my apartment mates work for government organizations like HAL. They have not been able to do anything in the last 40 days of lockdown. And it's going to continue impacting the businesses that have not gone remote, and will continue to have challenges in terms of how they could come back to the new world of realities. Right? It will impact consumption. It definitely, for sure, it will impact cash flow. I mean, you would want to now use up whatever you have, but at the same time save for a rainy day that may soon come up in the next few months. Till the time we find vaccine, till the time we improve the testing capabilities, till everything settles, you may see multiple cycles. So if you think that, yeah, you have flattened the curve now, you would continue relaxing norms, and then the numbers spike up again, and you would have challenges with regards to how you would want to plan the business. So cash is the most important asset at this point of time, and people will not enter into anything that is taking the cash out of your hands right now. Manufacturing, as I said already, is going through a massive challenge. The lockdown will continue to impact them. Even if it is going to be another 3 months of lockdown, it's basically eating up into their entire global business, which will result into a lot of debts, because these organizations would have taken a lot of credit from the banks, and because they're not able to manufacture and produce and sell, they will be sitting on a pile of inventory. So think about automobile as a sector. I don't think people would probably think of buying a bike or a car or anything of that sorts for the next 6 months to 8 months, till the time they really feel comforted to be able to look into getting into um, um, yeah, I have enough cash that I would want to spend now. So all of that is gonna um, be extremely stressful times for the business. Now, when the businesses are not doing well, how can you and I, as employees, do well, or how can you and I live without it impacting us? So temporary business closure may mean a lot of layoffs, or pay cuts, or deferred promotions, deferred payouts, etc. Shifting of hiring practices. If I were to say, a lot of organizations have put everything on hold for now. They are not thinking about hiring anyone, at least till June, July. Till things settle, till they think about or get some visibility on what the new demand is going to look like. So though this may be temporary, it may be there for a while. It may also change the way we are hiring in many ways, where I may rather look at bringing people on for virtual work, so that I can save on indirect costs. Or I may want to get people on contract, based on the way things are happening. I could do a lot of work from home, like us. Everybody today is working from home. The entire organization at EY is working from home, and we may continue to do this till the lockdown persists, and even slightly beyond, till we feel comfortable that working in office is a possibility. And of course, it excuse me, it will impact our uh, policies and comp structures and benefits and all of that. There are a lot of uh, legal laws, or labor laws, and law of the land in terms of shops and establishment acts, etc., now getting reviewed by by the officials to see if this is relevant, and we need to make any tweaks to address some of the challenges that we are currently going through. So this will continue to impact us, right? So that's where we are. So to summarize, I think this may last up to next year, at least till June 2021, if not in this current form that we are all going through, which is extremely challenging, but in some form, will go on till next year, 2021, or at least till the vaccine is found, and we have a possibility of as many people in the world getting shots for with the vaccine shots, probably. Um, the supply chain would continue to be very strained. The demands will be extremely erratic. It will force us to rejig people, product, and portfolios, wherein if I have 10 product lines, like let's say, if as an automobile, as an example, if I have 10 models that I would have for every car, I would probably focus on my top selling one for now, for at least next 6 to 18 months, till I find that there is a new demand coming in. And likewise, it applies to every other business as well, right? I mean, I've heard of aviation thinking about um, changing the way the seating is, where they would probably not have anyone sit in the middle rows, which means that people will be discouraged to fly, because the prices of flight, I mean, per ticket will go up significantly. Trains are also planning something similar, where the middle berth will not be allocated to anyone, which means you can practice a bit of social distancing while traveling as well. But no one knows when the trains are going to start and whether there will be as much demand as it was pre-COVID. So, any decisions or anything that we have done thus far in terms of planning our business, planning our finances, planning everything in the pre-COVID world may really need to be re-looked at, and we'll have to work towards aligning that to a new normal. Um, a lot of people keep saying that, oh, when will things be normal again? Yeah, it will be normal, but it will not be the same normal that you and I would have seen pre-COVID. It will be a new normal, and I think we need to embrace that, adapt that, and adopt the new ways of living as well. And shopping for the right opportunity, meaning if you're a job seeker, if you're buying anything, if you're investing anywhere, I think wait for the right opportunity. It's extremely easy to fall into a very good sales pitch. And if you don't do the due diligence of whether this was the right thing for us, we may end up making wrong decisions, which we should probably avoid. So ask as much as questions as you can before entering into any kind of investments or expenditures right now. It's extremely important. So, is everything over? Certainly not, right? We have, in some form or the other, seen crisis of may not be this magnitude, but some magnitude across our living lives. And one of the best things about human beings and humanity is that we know the ways to bounce back. We have several examples of this in our living memory, be it after any terrorist attack, be it after any economical recession, be it after any bubble burst. We have it in us to be able to come back to fight this out. And I think if you see the medical fraternity today, I don't think anyone is sitting with a view that when will I'm sure every country today is thinking about how to create vaccine that I can then start giving to each of my citizen, and make him or her immune to any kind of, at least the coronavirus for now. So be optimistic. Absolutely important at times like these. A simple example of this is I've heard a lot of people say this. When the lockdown started, everybody was like, oh, how is this going to be? It's going to be extremely painful. It's going to be extremely challenging. How will I live through this? But 40, 42, 45 days down the line, everybody is doing a lot more work today, sitting at home, than what they could have done while they were working in office. They are achieving a lot more today, pursuing a lot more passion than they could have found time to focus on anything at all, right? So that's about human beings, and I think we have the potential in us to be able to channelize and focus our energies to come through this and come through this a lot more stronger, right? So being optimistic and realistic in times like these is extremely important. But at the same time, it's also important to be relevant. So, uh, as I said, it's not going to be business as usual. But remember, it's going to be temporary. It's probably not the temporary that we know of, which is like in few months, but it's going to be a while longer than the normal temporary. But it's going to be temporary. It's not going to not going to be there forever. I mean, but what we need to learn through this is, if in an event something of this kind happens again, are we prepared for that? Uh, Traditional ways of working, workplace, worker requires a total revamp and reimagination. So remote working, virtual working, gigs, contract jobs, freelancing, all would be new normal. And we got to be really working towards embracing that change and accept the realities of the world in terms of where am I finding that right opportunity. Always have a backup plan. Don't rely always on one thing that you see. Plan Bs are always good, and extremely important. Um, Caring, listening, empathy in times like these are extremely important. I can't emphasize further on this. You got to be extremely sensitive to what you see, what you hear, how you treat your colleagues, how you treat yourself, and be very careful on how you are spending your time. Carve out at least 5 to 10 minutes in a day to spend some time with yourself, reflect upon what's happening. Um, I mean, meditating, prayers, and all of that are one of the ways for you to find yourself in times like these, because your mind will be in constant chatter at this point of time. Physical and mental well-being, as I said, is extremely important. Probably things that we never could think of achieving while we were working because of 3 hours of traffic commute. Probably now is a time for you to think through and practice some of those. Maybe do a yoga or walk daily, or run around your apartment complex, as long as you're ensuring you're following the norms that has been laid down in your locality. um, but do that. I think you have all the time right now to be able to focus on things like those, and you'll continue to have that time at least for the next foreseeable future of 6 months at least. um, Most importantly, practicing financial prudence. One lesson, if this has taught any, I mean, I would say everybody today, is uh, we it's extremely important to have the cash to spend on a day like this. The behaviors that we have fallen prey to in the last 5 to 10 years of so-called digital economy, which is great. I mean, I think it's really changed the way things have happened, but has forced us to do a lot more buying, a lot more shopping, a lot more food deliveries, etc., which is all great. But I think you may want to rejig that entire pattern of whether do you want to really spend that money on buying that stuff that may not be used on a daily basis, or do you want to buy that house right now, which probably was nice to have, or do you want to invest in a car right now, which probably is going to be a depreciating asset? And mind you, automobile sector is going to go through a massive revamp. Even otherwise, with the battery operated cars or EVs coming through, it was going to change in the next 5 years, but with this will definitely give a huge boost. So watch out on how you're spending that uh, buck that you have in your wallet, because it's good to practice financial prudence in times like these. So what are some of the things that you could do to battle or come out of these uncertain situations in terms of your career? And I think it's reimagination, reinvention, and reinforcement all together at one go. And when I say reimagination, I will go through each of these in just a bit. When I say reimagination, I think, are we really looking at all possible options? Are we only looking at uh, a particular pattern in the way we look for jobs, or look for our careers, or look for our consumers or customers or clients? Are there different ways to look at that? Is one thing. Have we really looked at our careers a little bit more minutely to say, um, what has been my 8, 10, 15, 20 years of experience? Is there a scope for me to redesign that entire career? How can I transition into a new career as seamlessly as I can? And what are some of the things that I need to focus on? And when I'm going through all of this, how can I strengthen and probably augment into a new reality or a new career, compared to what I've been doing so far. So, um, just a bit of examples of these. I've already walked you through this. See, this is what the economy, or economists say on the impact of COVID on specific sectors. And if you see this, I don't know. I mean, I'm not aware of what sectors some of you belong to, but if I were to be in an apparel or an automotive or automobile supplier or consumer durables or gaming as an industry, gaming is, I think, on the fence. I would say gaming, the digital gaming is booming right now, given that everybody's sitting at home. But the physical gaming, like the parks, theme parks, etc., is not going to do well. Similarly, aviation, retail, which is your Amazons and Flipkarts, hotel are going to get impacted big time. Moderately impacted would be your manufacturing of some sorts, media, production of films, television shows. They'll all go through a massive rejig in the way they have been doing some of the things. The cost of doing everything would increase given the additional layers of testing and checking that they need to go through. Um, and of course, the elements like technology, and given the impact of production, will go through a massive or moderate challenge. The lowest exposure would be on, I mean, these industries on the right would come out pretty quickly. Defense will continue to get more focus. Rentals will continue to get more focus. Pharmaceuticals, number one priority for every country, every economy now, given everybody's trying to spend a lot of time, money, efforts into creating that vaccine. Real estate, depending on how you look at it, will go through a revamp, but will still come out stronger because a lot of people will not want to go back to the workplaces and may create newer demands in tier 2, tier 3 cities, which earlier was not a reality. Food retail, packaging especially, will go through a massive revamp and find a new opportunity in times like these. Telecom, internet, mobile data. I mean, I think if telecom was going through a bad phase, I think now is the time for them to recoup all the losses that they were going through, and waste management too. Now, I think with COVID, there will be extreme focus on how you ensure that the waste is segregated and destroyed. So you may see all of the cities and districts and localities practicing this, which may lead a lot of organizations to come up into businesses for this. So there will be waste management organizations being set up. There will be collection centers. There will be centers to destroy e-waste or medical waste and all of that. So watch out for growth in these areas. As we all have heard this problem statement now, if Albert Einstein would have had a similar situation and someone would have given him an hour to solve the problem, he would have spent 55 minutes defining what the problem is and 5 minutes finding a solution, which means all of what I have just said is probably problem statements. But have I defined it well? Probably each one of you could do a better job and contextualize that for your own cells at this point of time in whatever roles and capacities you are, and probably define it better for yourself, but also spend the time to find the right solution for yourself. So solving the problem that we need to have a perspective on, is this the right solution? So problems are always an opportunity, and I said, as you might have heard this saying, that every crisis is an opportunity, brings in a lot of opportunities for a lot of us, while it also has the flip side to it, but even there lies an opportunity. understand the complexity of the problem. The times that we are in currently is extremely complex. We can only guess sitting here in our houses that what someone within like a medical practice or a medical practitioner is going through, and or even the cops today ensuring that the lockdown is safe is going through. Uh, and in a country like India, or even any country for that matter, would have the local nuance and complexities that they will probably have to go through. So there is no right or the best way to solve the problem. We got to take it step by step, one step at a time, smaller focus areas. Okay, I need to see through it today. What can I do today to be able to ensure a better tomorrow? What can I do tomorrow to be able to ensure a better day after tomorrow, and kind of sorts. If I were to put my money on future 2021, I would rather not. I would rather look at what can I do now today to be able to see through, um, at least tomorrow, or maybe a date later, or a 3 month time period, or a 6 month time period, or a 9 month time period, given the realities that I'm aware of. Um, and you will always have this perspective of some solutions being better than others, and we've seen enough of all of this in the recent past in terms of the way cities and states have reacted to COVID. Some countries did better than us, some countries did not do better than us, and so it's not one size fits all kind of an approach. um, Reinvention, extremely important. You might have seen this news of uh, recent developments around Swiggy's and Zomato's or Uber's, in partnership with Big Baskets and Flipkarts and all of that. I mean, I'm sharing this only with a view that, um, pre-COVID world, they would never have thought that they could coexist or they could work with each other, right? Classic pessimist's view would be, if I'm, like, let's say if I'm Swiggy, or if I'm Zomato, or if I'm Uber, or if I'm Ola, I would think that, oh, because of the lockdown I can't do anything, and my business is crumbling. Can I get creative? Can I form a strategic alliance and get things done in terms of delivering something to someone? Ola came up with a new initiative that they could do passenger movement to hospitals, even in times like these. That was a masterstroke of kinds, right? Swiggy, I know, has partnered with several, including Big Basket, to be able to deliver the goods to homes, subject to them getting the passes. Uh, and such alliances and creative solutions continue to thrive. And I think we need to learn a lot from these to be able to see, oh, maybe this is the right time for me to rethink on how I would want to uh, collaborate with someone that I have not been able to in the past several years. So basically, reinvent your career, right? And as I said, it's extremely important that you're creative, and ask yourself these questions on what are your options, what are the jobs that are available, what are the type of openings that you could apply for, are there even openings that you can apply for, um, or how could you find an opening that you could apply for? Where can you add value? What can you narrate your story as a solid value proposition? Why should someone hire you versus someone else? What can you do differently compared to someone else, right? uh, what are the services that you can offer, to whom? What is your segment? Who are you working with? Can you look at segments that you have not imagined in the past? Can you look at different roles than what you've currently looked at, or what experience you have in your current probably career so far? And what do you need to do to connect with someone who could probably help you out with, right? Remember one thing, um, the demand for jobs is going to go through a dip for at least 3 to 6 months. The demand will come up. The supply will remain predominantly same, but I mean, in terms of number of people wanting to apply for jobs, but the competitiveness is going to look very different, because there will be elements of do I negotiate this better as an employer, and vice versa as an employee too? Is this job really a full-time job, or can I look at part-timers? Is this job something like I need someone full-time on the roles of the organization, or can I look at contractors? uh, and is this job that I would pay 30 lakhs for, or is this job that I need to pay only 20 lakhs? um, I would, as an employer, and I'm sure you would, as an employee or a job seeker, go through massive emotions on how do you find the best middle ground in terms of a win-win situation for both. Learn to negotiate well for yourself, if you need to really negotiate well for yourself, you got to really be aware of who you are as an individual, and create a solid value proposition of who you are, what can you do differently, what all services do you offer. And when I say services, contextualize this in terms of what all experiences that you can reflect upon, that creates a solid value proposition for you as a job seeker when you're going for interviews, or talking to someone, or reaching out to someone for requesting them to help you for with a job. um, and that's where I think the element of craftsmanship comes into picture, right? Um, can I mean, if you remember the industrialization journey, right? I mean, industrialization 1.0 to industrialization 4.0, we kind of evolved from creating craft-based solutions to cognitive solutions in the recent times. But in cognitive solutions, now we have kind of peaked. Now I think importance of skills and craftsmanship is coming back again. When I say craftsmanship, it in the current scenario, it means, uh, can you look at complex problems and come up with a lot more creative solution, or can you craft a solution, right? Do you have the right skills to be able to solve the problem for us? Are you equipped with the right set of information, data, or technology support to be able to solve the problem for us? And that's what I mean when I say these two elements are extremely important in current times. So these are some of the all-weather next-gen skills that we all need to really focus on. And in times like these, it's absolutely important. Innovation and creativity. And I'm not going to go and explain all of this. It's self-explanatory. Um, Analytical and logical thinking, time management, negotiation skills, networking, learning, probably unlearning too. Business management skills, communication, extremely important. We often undervalue the importance of communication. How can you be more organized? How can you be more disciplined? And the importance of brand marketing and communications, or branding and communications and marketing, and innovation at the end of the day. How could you put this all together to create a new you who could go out in the market much stronger when things ease out, and come up with a storyline that talks about you, which is who is able to negotiate on the new roles that are available in the market. These are some of the skills that we all are aware of. I think you might read a lot of literature around this, but I think if someone is focusing on anything, or if everyone is focusing on something right now, it's complex problem solving, right? We are all working on an extremely complex situation, and I think everyone is putting all the energies into solving that problem. So just a good view for you to think through how you could look at adding some of these to your profile, and see if you could make anything out of it. um, Extremely important in times like these is to build eminence, be seen. If you haven't really done anything about your LinkedIn profile, go update it, be more visible. I've often heard a lot of people say this, like, I've created a profile on LinkedIn, but I've not done much. But now is a time for, I think, you to create more connections. Don't do that randomly. I mean, I think do it with a focus on who you would want to work with, which organization you want to work with. Personalize the story, and say this as to why you're reaching out to this person, and what would you like to offer. Um, while things may be extremely uncertain, find your gig work. We have one of the flagship programs within EY, which supports this, and I'll talk a little bit more on that at the end of this presentation. But also find forums where you can offer, like, conversations like these are extremely important. I'm sure each one of you can do something like this in through LinkedIn locals, meetups, TEDx speaking, or any Zoom calls that you can organize for yourself, or team calls that you can organize for yourself. Join as many marketplaces for jobs like Gig Now. As I said, I'll speak a little bit more about that later. Think about your transferable skills, how you could use those to in a different context, different industry. Continue to look at different options with those skills, and maintain a routine. I think it's extremely important that we all maintain the right rigor, right routine in the next several months to be able to find the right opportunity for ourselves, and whatever it could be. I mean, it could even mean, I mean, I didn't mean that we all have to go and search jobs, but even relooking at your own roles and responsibilities requires you to think through in a very different rigor than what you have been doing in the recent past. And if you were to be one of those who is seeking job, out of job, or would want to take a different path, if you were to be a freelancer, how would it look like, right? Um, Extremely important that when this holds good for even freelancers that are there on the call today. Be in touch with your clients, not necessarily with an intent to make a sale, but also an intent to offer free solutions, right? Volunteering is an absolutely important element at this point of time, where people really would appreciate you for anything that you can offer as a solution, as a offering, or as a gesture, right? When things come back, and when things are in the new glory, they will really value you for what you did in tough times like these. So relook at that as an option. Be very sensitive, right? If you're writing a note to your prospective employer or a prospective client, just don't say that I saw this opportunity, I want to apply. Ask them, how are they? I mean, I hope they are safe, they're fine, and are healthy. And I saw this opportunity. I don't know if it's still relevant. I would like to consider you to consider my candidature for this, and would really appreciate if you could probably have an exploratory call, and so on. Just don't get blindly onto an element of reaching out to you for help, right? I mean, everybody today needs help in some form or the other. But the key is who's ready to offer help in this scenario, right? Um, and find different ways to branch out into different verticals than what you have currently been into. Good time to do a career transition. Also a bad time, but good time, I would say, because you now would have a lot of time to hone your skills and look at newer opportunities. The industry will be a lot more open to get a lot of people with a different mindset, because probably the old mindset, and it didn't work, and which is why we are where we are. Motivate and communicate with your team in this situation, and it's extremely important for yourself as well, as an individual, how you could keep yourself absolutely motivated in times like these. Do not lose hope at all. It's temporary, it's not going to be forever, but in times like these, how could you find a new norm, a new you, is what we are trying to say. um, I shared a bit about this in terms of personal branding, how you could be more eminent, but just some bit more on that in terms of learning a new skill. You're all, I think, students of data science in some form. How could you enhance that skill? The first slide that I shared was a classic example of how data is powerful. It can change behaviors, it can change government philosophies, policies about what needs to be looked at. Imagine a world where you never had data. Like, we don't know how many people die of cancer today. There was never a tracker that tracked it to this level of detail. There was never any other tracker that was created for any other ailment, but is there for coronavirus, which is a great opportunity for a lot of folks to start thinking about how you could create data lakes that you can use to create a storyline out of it. Embrace change, embrace and champion virtual working model. um, Prepare a digital strategy for yourself, wherein you imagine yourself as a remote worker, which you all have been doing in some form right now, and focus on next 3, 6, 9 months, but focus only on essentials right now. Do not aim for really fancier stuff for now. um, a bit on digital footprint, which I spoke about, but how the importance of LinkedIn digital presence on Facebook and LinkedIn versus just to look at CV, even within your CV, what all you can write, what you can't, how you could write your CV in terms of focusing on your skills versus just putting 10 pages of worth of experiences of different organizations. All that is extremely important. So get help, get professional help, get your CV rewritten if it helps. Look at ways how you can be more positive on the online platforms. Do not I mean, extremely easy. I've seen a lot of people put forwards of articles which are negative in many ways about the current government, etc., etc. Strict no, because all of the employers, including immigration authorities, when you're thinking about cross-border movements, look at your digital presence and make a perception of you. Extremely important how you conduct yourself on platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Insta, on what you do there. So keep that in mind a bit as you look at new options. And this is about the program that we do with EY. Um, so GigNow is a platform. I would encourage each one of you to go and register on GigNow, www.gignow.com. This is it's a program that we're running, which is extremely focused on people coming in for short-term opportunities. It could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, depending on the business need and your skill relevance as well. People venture out into doing different things. At the end of this stint with us, they could either find another gig and rotate into the next role within the organization, or by the virtue of the work and the business need, find a new role for themselves within the organization as in the near future. Or it could also be use this brand experience to go and get another gig opportunity elsewhere in a different organization. um, all of this is designed with a view that I'll focus more on what value you bring onto the table in terms of your skills. How could we carve out a career proposition which is a win-win for both? And so I would say register on gignow.com. It's if you have a LinkedIn profile, it's much easier. If you don't, it's still very easy. All you need to do is upload your CV, and it pulls in all the information from it. And I'll look forward to see you all there on the platform in terms of who you are, and probably look at engaging with some of you in the near future when things open up and we are ready to hire again. That's pretty much that I had for today. I'm more than happy to take on any questions. I saw some come through already. So,
Yeah.
yep. Okay, I just
There
have
was
one
one
question.
question.
Um,
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
yeah, will government accept the automation process with unemployment rising? It's very contextual, Hari. It purely depends on the factor whether it is required for that business to sustain. If the business, because of and there are certain jobs which are which are um, easy to automate, I would say. And you would see a lot of automation there, no matter whether it's about unemployment or not. For me, the focus would be more on how do I create that better user experience in times like these, of being touch free. And the areas which would not see automation as such would be predominantly the government sectors, but again, there also there would be a lot of automation that they would see. Probably a lot more robotics there than automation of sorts. What do you recommend change in real estate for architects? How will they continue? um, Sky is the limit for you guys, Avnish, sorry. um, I think for the longest period of time the focus was on cities, the top cities. Right now I think with the current situation, may not be immediately in the next 6 months, but think about township plannings, as the cities and states come back to the new realities. There's tremendous amount of scope there for you to go to tier 2, tier 3 cities, and you'll see newer growth areas around that. So if you have not been thinking about things like that, find opportunities, spend some time on doing research on what you could do to future proof your career in areas like those. How can architects change with time? Automation, digitization, I mean, as much as possible use digital technology to use the designs, the labor, and continue to look for ways to improve profitability for the business as well as yourselves. Embrace digital, absolute non-negotiable in times like these. Pick up a course that aligns close with your line of business, and do more of that, and create that as a value proposition for yourself. How can someone with a completely business side experience upgrade into a data science analytical roles? Businesses have business problems, and we are all currently going through massive problems. Identifying those problems, and trying to come up with creative solutions is nothing but a starting point to look at data science and analytical roles, right? If I have a specific set of data, my ability as a leader to decide and create a better solution to it is much better, right? So I'm sure I would say you can look at your own current business if you're a businessman, or if you if you have any exposure to business. Look at how have how has the current COVID situation impacted you? What problems have you ran into? And look at the data science way of solving for it. You don't need a data science learning to the detail. Excuse me, to the detail to begin with, but start with basics of data science and then graduate further up is what I would recommend. But do your own research before you do anything on that. Opinion about data science field, future of data science. I think I already answered that in some sense. What will be the condition of jobs in data science for healthcare domain? Again, I mean, the healthcare will benefit immediately with data science in many ways, because um, the focus will be on tracking. Focus will be on tracking every single bit of health profile of an individual, and try people will try and analyze different sets of data to create correlate and create a problem statement, and find solutions for it. May not be as big an impact at the government hospital level, but probably overall healthcare, in including in pharma, including in the medical essential businesses. Everybody would want to track data right now. Data science will play a huge role in the way it can support um, uh, the ability of businesses to sit and track data and respond to these solutions. Uh, I hope that helps. What kind of skills will be essential to go forward? I shared this in one of the decks. I will circulate this deck through Santosh for all of you. I think it's a good point for you to refer. What will be hiring requirement for data science? As I said, this fiscal probably tough to pin it down, but the focus on data will be extremely high in whichever business and domain you are. Everybody would want to be more accurate and sure about what they are trying to solve. and you're all in many ways better placed than some of the other students that do not have this skill, including myself, I would say. And I'm also doing, by the way, certifications to be more equipped. Having software tester experience and data science knowledge, what should be my approach for better future? um, I would like to take that question offline. So Santosh, if you can connect me with this individual, I'll be happy to uh, speak to her and try and understand this a little bit more better. Can we merge digital marketing and digital analytics science skills to? I mean, absolutely, absolutely. Anything that you can combine with different sets of skills which will be relevant to a particular domain, you're trying to create a stronger value proposition for yourself, right? So if you're convinced of what you're trying to do, I don't know what your domain currently is, but if you think that there is a problem that exists that needs to be solved, and you have the right set of data that you can look at and create some sense out of it, and you have all the ways of tracking and reporting that data, absolutely. I mean, I mean, data science and data analytics, data visualization are skills that are gonna be, I would say, all weather skills for all of you. So you got to be really happy about where you are. Just continue to find the right business problems and find the right solutions to yourselves, and others as well. So think, is this the right time to focus on data science role with? Uh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about the challenges that you have in supply chain. It's extremely difficult to predict anything, and it's you can't really. I mean, it's a wide landscape issue because one, we don't get access to the right information. Two, we don't know how the lockdowns are going to be unfolding in the next several weeks, in some form, together or one after the other. Unless it is synchronized, factories will struggle to be able to come back to work. And if they don't come back to work, how will, like, think about a retail industry or an FMCG as a sector, right? I need my paste. I need my food to eat. I need my bare minimum essentials like milk and vegetables to eat. I need also someone to come and deliver that to me, right? So I have a basic predictability in terms of what are basic stuff that I need to focus on over the next 3 to 6 months to bare minimum live. But is the government thinking about it in the same way and allowing industries in those areas to operate? What are areas that you can look to study in this in terms of supply chain? That's one aspect of it. When things open up, how can you use that to predict demand and create a supply chain? Because your new demands will be very different than what it was pre-COVID. Can you do some analysis and modeling on that piece? Even sitting here, wherever you are, talk to people, try and understand what they think about it, and come up with a solution that probably you can put proudly on your profile and leverage that to find your next opportunity. If someone is on sabbatical currently, data science, choose multiple ways to gain experience. Again, Prashant would like to take that offline to help you better. So feel free to reach out through Santosh. I mean, I've already answered this in some form that I mean, all the opportunities that you have is all that you can leverage, but it would be good if we can chat more on this. How much bad loans will impact banking sectors, in your opinion, and views impact on banking sector because of the virus? Going to be a tough one. Um, Banking is going to get impacted big time for sure. There is no doubt about that. The key question is, would the government help them with stimulus to spur the growth? And it boils down to uh, tracking of behaviors. When I say behaviors, you got to think through. If you remember, there was a slide which had businesses that get impacted, business that doesn't get impacted. You got to think and study which businesses are not getting impacted right now, or which businesses are getting impacted, and what will be a result of that industry or a sector on the banking, and come up with a solution that tries to solve for it. It would be too difficult for banks to come out of this themselves. It would need some kind of stimulus of sorts. So that's pretty much the questions that I have. There are a few others as well. Um, so in the interest of time, Santosh, can I request you to send these questions over to me? I'll see how best I can respond to these, and um, um, you can then share it with your students, and then we can take it from there.
I'll do that, Gopal. Sure.
Awesome. So thank you so much, people. Really, I hope you really like this presentation and views. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Would be more than happy to answer any of these. And as I said, would really look forward to see you all on gignow.com.
Well, thanks to you, Gopal. That was a wonderful presentation.
Sure.
And as you likely said, it's all about identifying the opportunities and making the best alliances.
Yeah.
I would like to get something clarified. Just one last question, maybe.
Sure. Sure.
You also mentioned there's going to be a dip in the jobs, right? Considering this crucial crisis around the Northern America and European Union, do you see any possibilities of organizations moving their operations to India? Like we have a lesser impact comparing them, right? Will there be an abundance in opportunities, and will there be any chance for our economic growth? Will that be a limelight for India?
It's going to happen. How and when is something for us to wait and watch. The next 6 months is going to be extremely crucial for all economies as they battle to come out of COVID and start living in the new normal world. Um, the sheer impact of COVID on people, in a way, right? People's lives, in a way, and its impact also on the businesses and business models will keep people thinking about ways to improve profitability. That's one. The second fallout of this entire situation could be that the countries and some of the recent news, like as of yesterday as well, right? Trump announced that he's not going to allow immigration for the next temporary period. No one knows how long it's going to be. So there will be shutting down of borders which exists anyways, like where there is no cross border movement of people. And it will have an impact on the ways we are doing work, the way the globalization works as well. We've only seen the physical close down of sorts. um, there is something brewing between big economies right now in terms of who should we blame for all of this that has happened. Will continue to keep the world economy confused, but in the longer run, that is beyond 6 months or beyond 9 months, there will definitely be opportunities that will come out of this entire episode. And if you see any write up, any research, or even uh, things on Indian economy and its impact on GDP, we still have, even after so much of impact, a positive GDP for the next year. And everybody says that we will end up gaining a lot out of this situation, which I'm not surprised with, given the demographic dividend that we have as a population, and also the geographic advantage that we have. Uh, it's if you ask me how soon, I may not be able to. I mean, no expert can claim that they can pin it down to that date, but I'm thinking 6 to 9 months would be a good time frame for things to start shaping up in some form.
All right. Thanks, Gopal.
You're welcome.
So that's great, and we would like to thank you once again for such an enlightening session, and would
Sure.
look forward for many more in the subsequent time.
Sure.
I'd like to take a moment to thank the fellow participants. Take care and stay safe, people. will be in touch. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you so much. Take care, people. Stay safe. Bye bye.